FM News Talk 97.1.
On demand audio. You're listening to Allman in the Morning. Common Sense Radio.
We will be putting the Todd Akin ad up on the electric stove if you want to go to 971talk.com and hit the stove there. You'll also see the commentary from Senator McCaskill, who is actually campaigning for Todd Akin, which is a fascinating development. She wants him to stay in. Maybe she hasn't seen, maybe she's anticipating that the polling for Todd Akin is showing that he ought to get out. Well, the new public policy polling, if Todd Akin is looking at it this morning, the public policy polling is giving him every reason to stay in. The latest in the polling data shows that he still leads Claire McCaskill by a single point. Obviously, there are margins of error, 44-43. And that's identical to the last poll they did in May. And, yeah, Akin's negative numbers have increased. And, in fact, there are a lot of people who were polled who don't agree with what Todd Akin had to say. But in the end, in May, McCaskill was only getting 8% of the Republican vote. And in the aftermath of the controversy around Todd Akin, she's now getting 10% of it. It's a 2 percentage point change. GOP voters, this is according to the public policy folks, GOP voters dislike McCaskill so much they're not going to vote for her no matter what the nominee on the Republican side does. So, I don't know why Claire McCaskill's beating her chest, telling everybody to keep him in. And my indications are, listen, this new ad that Todd has put out, and every indication is he's going to stay in the race. Despite the fact that some of the biggest rock stars in the conservative, punditry category have called for him to leave. Krauthammer's one of them.
He's got to leave. He's toxic. Nobody will touch him. Republicans aren't going to support him. He's not going to get any money.
I don't know on what basis Charles Krauthammer says that. And again, you're talking to a guy who didn't think Akin was the one who could possibly beat Claire McCaskill over like a guy like John Brunner. You're talking to a guy who doesn't really even necessarily share the same exact views on abortion as Todd Akin does. But you're also talking to a guy who doesn't buy into the throw people under the bus, tell everybody to resign, run away from principled people at the drop of a hat, or a guy who wants Democrats dictating what conservatives or Republicans do. And right now, every reaction is based on what the Democrats have been pushing, this war on women thing. So between the Hammer and then Mark Levin yesterday.
He can better put the nation's interest above his own. If he decides to stay in this race, and I happen to think at this point, quite bluntly, it's a mistake. But if he decides to stay in this race, and this issue causes him to lose and or hurts the rest of the ticket, he will never be forgiven, especially not by me.
And I will maintain that the commentary of Levin and Krauthammer, they're actually making it almost a conclusory type of commentary on this. I mean, let's put it this way. The poll numbers, even in the aftermath of what Akin had to say, are not showing people are running away from him. And you wonder whether or not the comments of Krauthammer and Levin and also Mitt Romney here.
His comments about rape were deeply offensive.
I mean, and yes, he made a huge mistake. There's no question about it. But now are the opinions of some conservatives actually, are they the ones who are foretelling the Akin demise? Where otherwise, perhaps, had we just let Akin apologize, which is what he did, and ask for forgiveness, which is what he's doing this morning, just let him do that and let the chips fall where they may. Your phone calls are welcome, 969-9797, 866-455-9797.